We've now reached the halfway point of our first championship season and unbelievably still find ourselves in an automatic promotion spot. We come up against our old club Southend today, and also before the end of today's episode, as part of the ongoing Getting the Band Back Together project, there's another another returning face coming back into the fold, becoming part of our save. It's a player from one of our former clubs is arriving at Plymouth as soon as the January transfer window opens. Hello and welcome to Season 12, Part 5 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're at home to both Southend and Swansea, the club we used to manage and the club we wanted to manage about 2 seasons ago before we ended up at Plymouth. Or was it before we ended up at Blackpool? I don't even remember. Can't even remember. I think it might have been before Blackpool, actually. We were desperate for the Swansea job. You lot will let me know down in the comments, no doubt. Since you were last with me, we had a little bit of a sticky patch. We've had draw, loss, win, draw, loss, win. That seems to be our new pattern. I don't like that pattern as much as win, 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 which is what we were doing before. And it has meant that we're no longer dominating at the top. Dominating, we were like 1 point clear for 2 minutes. We're still very much in contention, 2 points behind Rotherham, and they beat us as well. We've also lost to Huddersfield, I think. Who else beat us? Huddersfield, yeah. So we've been losing games to the teams around us, but we are getting involved in beating some of the weaker teams in the division, especially if they're from the West Midlands area. That's West, isn't it? Birmingham way. Martel Taylor-Crossdale got a couple of goals to get rid of Aston Villa. And finally, Yannicki is back in the team and scoring again. And Calvert Davidson scored an absolute beauty. We actually went 2-0 down in this game against Wolves and made a couple of tactical changes. Firstly, we put Matt Mantum as a roaming playmaker rather than an advanced playmaker, and he just controlled the game for like the last half hour. You wouldn't think it from his 6.9, but he was everywhere. And also we brought on Fidalgo for the last 20 minutes to play at the base of a diamond. So we switched the tactic up a little bit. And for whatever reason, those 2 changes, you can see, dragged us back into the game. We were already on our way back in, but 70 minutes, and we just dominated the game from then on. So we potentially have another tactic up our sleeve. We didn't change anything else. We just dropped the central midfield player back. And it's because we're running out of central midfield players. They're all getting injured. So our team for today's game against Southend, we've got Thompson in goal, a back four of Collins, Jordan, Bazan and Niambi, Fisher, Smith and Mantum in midfield. Mantum, is now a roaming playmaker. We'll see how he does for a full game in that role. I remember on last year's Non-League to Legend, Lasse Viggen Christensen in the Championship doing exactly that on the right-hand side of a midfield 3, was player of the season for about 2 years in a row in the Championship, not just for Ipswich. So roaming playmakers on the right-hand side of a 3, we've got previous of that working, and Mantum is head and shoulders above everyone else in the squad. He's already 4-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. He is an absolutely outstanding footballer, and hopefully by giving him that freedom to just control the game, he'll do exactly that. McBride is then in behind Hull and Yannicki. Martel Taylor-Crossdale is on the bench for the return to his former club. Adam Jackson is not, because he's never going to play for us again. Let's be realistic about this. So let's get into the game. I doubt there's going to be any faces we recognise in the Southend team, because one of the only ones we recognised last year was Taylor-Crossdale. I know Zalalim is still there, but he's injured, because that was a news story before the game. And no, there is none of the Kev vintage still at the club, which probably is why they're a mid-table championship team. They've clawed their way back up, recovered from my nonsense when I abandoned them mid-season, and now they're doing quite well. Although I say mid-table, they've dropped down to 18th since I last saw them. Hopefully we're going to... We need a win today. I have visions of Taylor-Crossdale coming on at some point in the second half and scoring the winner, and both me and him embracing after the match and showing Southend what they could have won if only they'd have sorted out their finances. Because I'm assuming that's surely the only reason they released him in the summer, because he is on a lot of money. He's on like $8,500 a week with us. I assume that's money Southend couldn't afford to pay, which is why they released him. There's no other reason you would release your top scorer for most of the last 6 years, age 27. It just doesn't make sense. And they've gone 1-0 up, because I'm dissing them. The game can hear me. So we get punished. We know the drill by now. Don't ever be negative about anything, Kev. My pop filter's moved. That's no good. Always imagine that you've got to be nice to the match engine. Oh, we should be doing better. And that's why we're bringing in a new defender. I hope you haven't already seen it on the front screen. The tension I'm trying to build is going to be lost on you. But it's a defender from the past in this save from one of our former... A defender from Southend. So let's see if we can start piecing together who it might be. We've already had Jackson. We've already had Anderson. Yes. Blackpool, it's not Anderson. He was older and not as good as Jackson, and Jackson can't get in our team. But there is a defender from the Southend days who we have agreed to deal with. He's going to be joining us in time for the second of today's episodes. That was a weird goal. Hull hits it straight at the goalkeeper on the turn, and the goalkeeper, presumably because it's the last place he would expect a shot to be going, doesn't deal with it at all. It's 1-1. We're back in the game. Hull have gone top of the league now, and so Rotherham aren't playing. Okay, that explains that. I thought Rotherham must be losing, and Rotherham don't lose at the moment. They're in great form. Hang on. Okay. Now Hull have gone behind again in their game, I guess. So Rotherham go back to the top of the league despite the fact they're not kicking a ball. Right, we need to get hold of this game. They're a lower mid-table team, Southend. They're a team we absolutely should be beating. Obviously, they were better than us last year, but I think we've strengthened much better than they have. We've got the financial clout and the fan base to be able to do that. So we need to beat them. If we're going to have as good a second half of the season as we have the first, these are the type of games we need to be winning. And that was just superb. That was so fast. I didn't even have time to start commentating on it. And by the time I noticed it was happening, about 5 players had touched the ball. Look at this. It's just dink, dink, dink. Find the man in space. There he is. Boom. Curls around the defender and then tucks inside the post. It was perfect technique from Fisher. Unbelievably, that boy still won't sign a new contract. We're top of the championship after the halfway point of the season. He's capable of stuff like that. I don't know what he's thinking. Just sign a new deal. What would you do? Do you sell him in January? The transfer window opens in a couple of days' time. If we get offered £1 million for him, do we sell him? Jordan's in to make it 3-1. Or do we just accept a loss on him, keep him till the end of the season, gamble on getting promoted? Because in the same way with Corey Jordan last year, who went all season refusing to sign a contract, but then when we sealed promotion, did sign. Do we gamble on promotion with Fisher and think, right, we're going to turn down $1 million, $2 million now because we're going to gamble on getting promoted? Hold on, we need to bring Taylor Crossdale on, but in light of who we're playing. Are we going to gamble on getting promoted and him signing a new contract then? Obviously, bearing in mind there's no guarantees he'll sign a new contract, even if we do get promoted. It's tricky. Flavian Thomas was excellent in the last game when he came on. Mantum hasn't really impressed as a roaming playmaker today, so perhaps it's not going to be something he does long term. He can go across to be the defensive midfielder. McBride drops back and Thomas comes on again because Thomas was excellent in the game against Wolves when he came on. Didn't mention him as part of the game-changing events, but he was definitely one of them and he might have been the key to it. Mantum has had such a poor game. We're going to take him off, bring Fidalgo on again, and this is what we did last time. Except we made him a roaming playmaker. We can't really because he can't do it, but that's the shape we had at the end of last game. It was just Mantum there rather than McBride. And we did look really good. It gave us a little bit of extra defensive cover. Fidalgo, realistically, never going to get back in the team as a centre-back now, but he's one of the few proper defensive midfielders we've got at the club. He might have a new lease of life playing as a defensive midfielder, although they've just got a goal back. It's 3-2 with 7 minutes remaining. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments on this diamond. Is it something we should persist with? And if it is, I'm thinking we probably need to change the tactical instructions. There's no point just changing the shape for the sake of changing the shape. Perhaps this is what we move to when we stop being quite so attacking. But how far do we take that? Do we go all the way back to countering? Or do we just drop it down to control or standard or something along those lines? I like the fact it gives us a little bit of cover in front of the defence. But I don't know, it had the opposite effect against Wolves when it looked excellent, but we seem to be inviting Southend onto us despite the fact we're still attacking. They're getting back into this game. Right, McBride now finds Nyambi. Can he cross? He does. Hull scores? That must have crossed the line. bounces off both posts. I'm certain that crossed the line. If we don't win this, I'm complaining. I don't even know who to complain to, and luckily we won anyway, so I don't have to follow through on my empty threat. 24 games into the season, we're on 47 points, and in a situation where on New Year's Day we are at home against a mid-table team, a win will get us to our pre-season target of 50 points, and you've just seen on that screen, if you were paying attention, who joins us then as well, so that spoils that surprise, but perhaps you weren't looking. You'll be able to see in like a minute. I've done something I've never been brave enough to do before, but I think we're safe doing it this time. Our instructions previously, our expectations were fight bravely against relegation. We were given 3 options to pick from. We could pick that one, we could pick avoid relegation, or avoid a relegation battle. Avoiding a relegation battle got me a new £350,000 transfer budget and extra wage pennies. Which takes, it gives us an extra £10,000 a week of wages. So we've gone for that. I think it's fairly safe. We're top of the league beyond the halfway point. We're already on 47 points. Even if we lose every game from now on, we'll only just get relegated. So if we win another 3 or 4, we've avoided a relegation battle and we're fine. So that's what we're going to do. We have, as promised, signed a new player. If you managed to avoid seeing who it was, I shall reveal it for you now. Josh Grant has arrived at Plymouth. He's 29 now, 3-star current ability, 3-star potential. These days, he's primarily a centre-back. We always used to play him at right-back for Southend. He's still natural at right-back as well. Can also offer some accomplished cover over at left-back. I've brought him in because we had that crisis earlier in the season, and that's when we started looking at him. He's been at Wigan, who are in a promotion spot down in League One, having played at the Championship level for most of his career since we left Southend and left him there. But he's coming in as our best right back, and also supposedly good enough to be a starting centre back as well. He's not quite fully fit, so he's not going to come straight into the team today, but expect to see plenty of him before the season ends. He's going to appear on the bench today. There he is, look. So a couple of changes to the rest of the teams. We've only had a few days since the Southend game. Davidson comes in at right back. Was Collins in the team before? I feel like he might well have been. I've got to stop picking the team, and then there's a mouse in my garage. I've been distracted for the last 10 minutes trying to find the mouse and get rid of it. During the last episode, last video, last match, I'm so flustered by this mouse. He just sort of poked his head up over in the corner there. Don't record videos in your garage, folks. You occasionally see a mouse. And now I'm terrified that I'm going to get so into this game that I'm not going to see him crawl up my trouser leg. He's over there somewhere. We might just abandon this match and go on a mouse hunt. Aside from that, Dixon comes back in up front. Cato comes into the midfield. We're going to give Manton one more try playing as a roaming playmaker. If he doesn't tear the game apart this time, we'll probably switch him back to attacking playmaker for a little while. We don't need to force him into becoming a roaming playmaker. According to the little stars that you get, he's better at being an attacking playmaker anyway. So I just like having a roaming playmaker on the pitch, but if it's not his preferred role, there's no point switching him to it just for the sake of having someone roaming. But here you go, look, he's picking the ball up in a roaming position. Look, he's got space. This is what we wanted from him. Davidson tries to cross, in the end wins a corner. But we've got a corner with less than a minute on the clock. McBride crosses in. It's a little bit behind Bazan, and the move sort of breaks down and disappears. We've just turned down a £1.5 million bid from Sheffield United for Corey Jordan. They're not even. They're like 7th in League One. They've obviously got too much money. We can't spend £1.5 million on defenders. We've just had to bring in Josh Grant for £200,000. It's all we could afford. But they can just go out and try and splash money on our captain and best defender, and when we're top of the Championship and they're down in League One. It's mad. We've turned it down. Everyone seems happy. I'm not particularly happy because A, I've just seen the mouse's tail again over there, and B, we conceded a goal as it happened, so I wasn't even really watching. How'd you get rid of a mouse? Mouse traps? I've never even seen a mouse. Well, I've seen a mouse before. What is this creature? I've never seen such a thing. I'm aware it's a mouse, but I've never seen one in my garage before. We're 2-0 down as well because I'm too distracted by this mouse. This is unfair. We're playing Swansea and a mouse at the same time. And quite frankly, I don't care for it. I'm watching the match, don't worry. He's over there. If you've watched the vlog channel, you'll see when I cleared the garage out and there was this big pile of stuff that never really got touched. He's living in the pile of stuff. It's completely my own fault. But now I'm afraid to move the pile of stuff in case it bites me when I do it. Do mice bite? Or is that rats? It's definitely not a rat. It's small. Look, it looks like a little hamster with a long tail. That's a mouse, isn't it? Tell me it's not a rat. If it's a rat, I'm just going to move house. I'm just going to leave my stuff here. It will probably, if there's no video out tomorrow, it's because I'm too afraid to come in my garage now because I discovered it was a rat and I don't want to get bubonic plague. Ugh. Right, we scored a goal apparently during rat news, and looks like we're going to go in at half-time just 2-1 down, although they're through on goal. They make it 3-1. We're at home against a dodgy mid-table team. If we genuinely have hopes of getting promoted this season, which I think we're sort of safe to start talking about, we might be hoping for that, then we can't be losing games like this against teams like this. I hope we've not wrecked everything by adjusting our expectations for the season. Does that change the amount of pressure the players feel? Were they playing without pressure before when they knew even if they got relegated it would be fine? Now they know they've got to avoid a relegation battle. Are they all stressed out about it? Is that a thing? Should I not have done it? Because probably I might not even spend that money. We'd already got the Josh Grant transfer agreed. I don't really know what else we need or how we can improve the team for only £300,000. There's not going to be free transfers knocking around. There you go, we're going to bring him on. In fact, we need to take Bazan off as well. That's not exactly an attacking substitution that's going to change the game, but the defence is injured and rubbish today. But yeah, there's not going to be free transfers, so that 10 grand of wage budget isn't really going to make much difference, apart from maybe renewing existing contracts as the season goes on. But that's not worth adjusting our expectations for. I don't really know what to look for. My instinct is to look for fullbacks and goalkeepers, because I'm forever changing them. But I don't know, perhaps now's not the time. Right. Fisher can come on and he can play behind the front too. Both Hartley and Shorthouse are injured for the next month or so. They both picked up injuries in the same game. Hartley got injured. Shorthouse came on from him. He got injured as well. I think they've both done the same injury as well. Being kicked by a big defensive midfield player, probably. So we are a little bit light for attacking midfielders, which is why it's handy that Fisher can play there. Fidalgo, I thought he'd stuck that in, but the highlight just stopped, which I assume means it wasn't a goal. And tell me, I've now mentioned, well, even if we lose every game for the rest of the season, we'll only just get relegated. Guarantee it'll happen now. Right, Dixon's through on goal. Can he tuck it away? He cannot, because I've ruined everything by changing my season expectations. Oh, this is an actual disaster. And Thompson collects from the cross. We're still only 3 points off the top, 1 point off of automatic promotion. It's not a total disaster yet. But we shouldn't be losing games like this. Let me know who to buy down in the, well, not who to buy. We're 12 years in the future. Names are worthless to me now. What sort of player, what sort of position should we be looking to spend our new £300,000 transfer budget and £10,000 extra wages on? Let me know down in the comments what you would do. And if you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop up. Let me try that again. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. I mean, 500 videos and I'm messing up the outro now. Subscribe to the channel. It's that mouse. It's got me totally flustered. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Thank you very much for watching. Not you. You can stop watching. I need a mouse trap.